Critics of Putin, from gay rights activists to much of the Western world, will say it's a marriage made in hell. For Vladimir Putin and the Orthodox Church, it's simply a marriage made in convenience in Moscow, and indeed right across this vast country's 11 time zones. And that, say Church and State, is just as it should be in this modern, old, forward-looking, backward-looking Russia that Putin has set about creating in 17 years in power. So how has Putin used the Church to secure its position, and why does the Church back his every action?
Мы победили!
It is in one sense all about tradition and strength, and the key historic tradition of Russia is the strong man as leader. And yes, they are all men, from Vlad the Impaler, Peter the Great, through Lenin and Stalin, the latter increasingly rehabilitated in Russia these days, to the current main man himself, Vladimir Putin. Strong male leader is comfortably mirrored by strong patriarchal church. The leader himself is called the Patriarch. Putin and the Russian Orthodox Church walk hand in hand in so many ways, and Putin is keen to be with and be seen to be with the Patriarch on key occasions of state and calendar. He is keen to be and seen to be at the church, a humble Russian worshipper with his people in the church, their church. Putin's grip on power, bolstered year by year, seizing control of the media at home, imprisoning or forcing into exile any powerful oligarchs who step in his way. Presiding over the years in which troublesome critics have come to terrible ends that cannot be traced to him. Alexander Litvinenko abroad in London, coming to an agonizing and slow death via polonium-infused tea. Journalists at home like Anna Politkovskaya brutally gunned down in Moscow. You'll see little criticism of this from the Orthodox Church, for with the strong man comes strong values, strong traditional values about what's right and what's wrong in the field of human relationships. And being gay, says the Orthodox Church, is being wrong. No Church of England long years of agonizing and wrangling and internal arguments here, yet. Not one to mince his sermons, the current Patriarch Kirill likened Western laws legalizing same-sex marriage as akin to the world of Nazi Germany's legislators. A few years ago, he called them a sign of the impending apocalypse. What matters to the Orthodox Church is that this message, their message, has been coming with some volume now from the Kremlin for many years and from the mouth of Putin himself. The words oblique, the message quite unambiguous though. The Church, too, believes the union of man and woman is the only natural and rightful way to live, and is not averse to telling Russians this message again and again. And Russians like what they hear. The otherworldly onion domes of Sergeyev Posad, which is, to the Russian Orthodox, what the Vatican is to Rome, is very, very much more than just a draw for the endless coach tours of Chinese tourists, disgorged daily into the vast square, crocodiling through the great 12th century doors. It is a power centre of a church which has never had it so good since the Russian Revolution ended so much of its hold over ordinary Russians. The glory days are back, and 3 new churches are opened in Russia every day. Here in the UK, we search for uses for our often ancient, but equally often empty church buildings. With that, a church more than happy to get political, and not just with sexual orientation. Take Syria. The church warmly endorses Putin's intervention on behalf of President Assad as a moral and right action. And why? Because Putin is popular and so is the church. It's all about the Russians expressing again and with pride what it is now to be Russian. Suppressed and silenced during the communist era, and then the confusion and perceived humiliation of the post-communist years, we now have the Orthodox years and the Putin reign coinciding perfectly. Power, authority, and wealth. Yes, wealth. Some claim the Russian leader is one of the richest men alive. Putin chooses to show his bling with lavishly expensive wristwatches, and plenty of them. The Orthodox Church, by tradition, runs austere buildings but cashes away riches behind the scenes, mostly. The Patriarch himself and Putin, both reputedly extremely rich men, and as yet only a minority of Russians appear to have much of a problem with this. Yes indeed, right down to the male wristwatch apparel. It isn't just Vlad. Patriarch Kirill was snapped recently with a $30,000 number. The church press office airbrushed it off the photograph. Sadly though, they neglected the very clear reflection of the now deleted timepiece in the table. Telltale wealth still there for all to see. If Russia is walking tall again globally, punching its weight after the chaos of Yeltsin or the perceived humbling of Gorbachev, then Church and Putin are the organizations and the man to give this national pride expression and self-confidence. But it's not just that. It isn't just feel-good national pride from St. Petersburg to Vladivostok, Murmansk to Sevastopol. It's about action too, and action against those who do wrong in this assertively traditionalist world. That means high profile, yes, but numerically insignificant events like the imprisonment of the Pussy Riot activists, of course. But much more widely, day by day, it means people in same-sex relationships. Putin has scorned the idea of homosexuality on many occasions. The church attacks such perceived abomination head-on. In the depths of the Russian forest, several hours' drive northeast of Moscow, you can come across one of thousands of rural priests who'll only too happily tell you about the virtues of heterosexual man and woman relations as the best and only permissible way before God. South in Moscow, you'll find not only the Kremlin making such pronouncements on many occasions, but also the ever-docile Duma, Russia's parliament, busily churning out a series of laws designed to outlaw, oppose, or otherwise confront gay relationships in a raft of different ways. Again, we see the parallels with others who stood in opposition to Putin's new traditionalism across Russia. There is persecution on the streets and violence against gay people aplenty, and it seems not a great priority for the police to investigate. Some people get by living in secrecy, some take the consequences, and some simply leave the country. Which is very much the pattern of how people end up living or dying whenever they stand up against Putinism. The strong man, and now the strong church too. When the strong man walks hand in hand with the strong church, resistance, whilst never quite futile, is immeasurably weakened. And that is just how church and state want it to be right now, right across Russia. As Patriarch Kirill of the Orthodox Church put it himself, the years of Putin's power have been a miracle of God.